Surupam Rupam tasya gajamuri puri Mathurim goshtvaatim Radha kundamagiribaram Ahoradika vadavasam Prabhu yasya paditapaya Shri Guru Tam Natam Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Ananda-Lila Maya Vigrahaya Hema Bhakti Vyatschavya Sundaraya Tasmai Maha-prema rasa-pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Bhakya Vedaya Parara Kripa Mahita Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanaravinda Brinde Namaste Charanaravinda Govinda Damodara Madhavedi Govinda Damodara Madhavedi Govinda Damodara Madhavedi Govinda Damodara Madhavedi Hey Krishna Hey Adava Hey Saketi Govinda Damodara Madhavedi Sham Sundar Shikanda Shikar Smaraha Surli Manara Radhikar Sukumama Kripa Nidhe Supriya Charaki Karim Kuru Tavaivasmi Na Jiva Mitayamina Tivikyaya Devitam Nama Charantikam. First of all, I offer my sastang dandavat puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual guru, Asmatiya Paramarata Tuma Guru Padapadma, Niktalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtotara Satasi Srimad, Rupanugacharya Vari, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudeva, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Kripa Sandhabhyavata, Putitanam Vaishnavas. By the causeless mercy of Sri Guru and Gauranga, we are discussing the first verse of Granth Srimad-Bhagavatam. The meaning, which is like adhyatma-dhipa, the light of transcendental knowledge, and Sambandha Gyan we have discussed. Then, after that, we discussed the meaning which is more effulgent than a lamp, but it's shining like the sun, related to Sri Krishna's pastimes. General account of Sri Krishna's pastimes, his appearance in Mathura, and his lila in which opulence is manifested. So now we're coming to the interpretation of the verse, which is not like a lamp or like the sun, but which is like the nikamakalpataro kalitam phalam shukamukar amrita drava samyutam, completely liquidized fruit, like a mango of the desire tree of the Vedas, which is pure rasa. So, in this interpretation, the Satyam Param Dhimahi, the Supreme Truth, is considered to be Sri Krishna himself, the hero of Madhurya Rasa, the romantic mood, the beloved of the gopis of Braja. So, Satyam Param Dhimahi, we meditate on that highest truth. The meaning is that Krishna is beautiful if he's playing with his friends. But he's more beautiful if he's in the lap of Mother Yashoda. So his beauty depends on the associates with whom he is surrounded. So Shukadeva Goswami said, Tatrati sushubhe thabi Bhagavan Devaki Suta Majje Maninam Haimanam Maha Marakato Yata. That during the Rasa Lila, all Braj Gopis came to dance with Krishna, and Sri Krishna expanded himself. And so they began to dance in a circle, with one Gopi, one Krishna, one Gopi, one Krishna, like this. So, at that time, Tatrati susubhe tahabir. See, Krishna was not only beautiful, but sushobha. Su is a prefix, it means beautiful. So beautiful, beautiful. Double beautiful. No, ati susubhe tahabir. He was extremely double beautiful. It's hard to express in English what Shukadeva Goswami is saying, that Krishna is already beautiful, but at this time, dancing with the Braja Gopis, he is Ati Susu Shubhe Tabe Bhagavan Devaki Suta. How was his beauty? Madhe Maninam Haimanam. Just like a jewel. A jewel may be beautiful, but if a jewel is set in gold, then it looks more beautiful. So here Shukadeva Goswami is saying, Maha Marakatoyata, see, Krishna was like Maha Marakata, a great emerald. Now we know that Krishna is Ujjwala Nilamani, a blazing sapphire. So if he's a sapphire, then why is Shukadeva Goswami saying he's an emerald? So there's a beautiful poem in Braj Bhasha. Mera bhava badaharo radha nagar soy jatan ki chai pare sham harit duti hoy jai jai Sri Radhe. In this poem, the poet is saying, Oh Srimati Radhika, please remove the obstacles on my path of bhajan. You are so beautiful that your beloved Krishna, though he is Sham color, when your aura falls upon him, then he becomes green. Because Krishna is bluish and Radhika is golden. So when the bluish Krishna is bathed in the golden aura of Radhika and Braj Gopis, then blue and gold becomes green. So, therefore, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, Krishna is excessively, extraordinarily, unparalleled beauty manifest. When he danced with the Gopis, he became like a great emerald. Therefore, Satyam Param Dhimahi, I meditate on that Krishna bathed in the aura of the golden Braja Gopis. That is Satyam Param Dhimahi. That is the highest truth. That is the truth higher than the truth of Krishna in Mathura or Krishna playing with coward boys or with Mata Yashoda. So, that highest truth has been described, Janma-dyasya yataha, from whom Adi comes. So just as the word Bhima refers to someone called Bhimasen. His name is Bhimsen. But when you say Bhima, everyone knows who we're talking about, right? So in the same way, when we say Janma-dyasya yataha, then everyone knows that we're talking about Adi Rasa. Right? It's Adi Rasa. The full word Adi Rasa has not been, only Adi has been told, just like you just say Bhim for short, for Bhimsen. So in the same way, Dhyanma-dyasya means Adi Rasa, the original Rasa, which is the root of all rasas, that is Madhuras, Sringaras, the romantic mood. So, Janma-dyasya yataha, he from whom there is the birth, the Janma of Adi Rasa. Now one may say, how can Adi Rasa be born or make its appearance? Because we know that Rasa is eternal, it's Rasa-amrita. Rasa is Rasa-amrita, Amrita is deathless, it's eternal. And it's Swaprakash, self-manifested. Then, how is it possible that Janma-dyasya yata, that Krishna can cause the appearance of this rasa? So the answer is this, that throughout the history of the universe, Sri Krishna appears only once in a day of Lord Brahma. So in the billions of years in between Krishna's appearances in this world, from time to time, it happens that Madhur Rasa disappears from the world due to the censorship of conservative transcendentalists. You know, sometimes there are transcendentalists, they never talk about Madhur Rasa. They think we shouldn't talk about that. We can talk about whatever, hell, and ghosts, and poop, and whatever. There's so many different things we can talk about. Don't talk about Madhur Rasa. No one is qualified. We should not speak about these things. So, there is a genuine concern that unqualified speakers and unqualified audiences may take the discussion of Madhur Rasa in the wrong way. Because they will think, oh, we're hearing about Radha and Krishna and we are relishing. But actually, until Rati appears, there's no question of relishing rasa, because rasa needs a sthayi bhav. It needs a foundation. Still, the Rasik Vaishnava Acharyas, like my Gurudev, like Srila Prabhupada, they're very merciful. And in a very delicate way, in a very tender way, having protected everyone from misconceptions by speaking extensively on tattvas. Then, upon the foundation of Siddhanta, of tattva, of philosophical principles, then they give a vision of the Rasa Mahal, the palace of Rasa. Why? Because if such persons will not be merciful and speak something, then no one will ever develop greed. You cannot wait until you get up to the stage of bhav, rati, and then think, now let's try to develop some greed. Because it's too late. Because the rati which comes from following Vaidhi Bhakti is of Vaikuntha. It is filled with Aishwarya Bhav. And therefore, in our stage of sadhana, then we must hear something. And the greed will appear. Because what is the symptom of greed? Tad bhavadi madhurye srute di yadapekshate na cha shastana yuktim cha tal log utpati lakshanam. Upon hearing about the sweetness of the exchange between Krishna and his loving devotees, when a person, and here the word hearing means hearing with the Shuddha Chitta, a purified heart. So actually from Nishta, from the stage of Nishta, the Chitta is sufficiently purified. If one will hear about Krishna's form and qualities and so on, they'll begin to appear in the heart. So, when a person hears, Shrute means upon hearing, it really means kinchit anubhuti bhavati, that there's hearing with some realization. And so when that hearing takes place, and upon hearing, the subject matter of the exchange of Krishna with his loving devotees. So in the stage of ruchi, that sweetness can appear in the heart. In fact, that's the very definition of ruchi. One meaning of ruchi is abhilas. We should know this is a general meaning of ruchi. It's a taste which is actually full of longing. When you long for something intensely, when you hanker for something, then it's considered that you have taste for that. So one meaning of ruchi is abhilas, and that has been used by our acharyas. And another meaning, in the commentary of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Mukunda Goswami, a disciple of Sri Krishna's Kaviraj, he said, ruchi papa bij nashad madhurya anubhavaha. That means that in the stage of Nishta, your pap, your sins are destroyed, but there may be still some seeds of sin or desire lurking in the heart. So as one practices bhakti with nishta, with steadiness, then even the seed of sin is destroyed. And once the papa bij, the seed of worldly desire, has disappeared from the heart, now it's become sufficiently pure enough to accommodate the sweetness of Sri Krishna, is madhurya, and the sweetness of his exchanges with his associates. Therefore, ruchi, papa bij nashat, ruchi is arising from the destruction of the seeds of pap, sin or worldly desire in the heart, madhurya anubhavaha, the realization of Krishna's sweetness. So in the stage of ruchi, one will hear, and that's abhilas, strong desire. Bhagavad Prapt abhilas, I want to attain Krishna. Anukul abhilas, I want to render some very favorable service. So hard abhilas, I want to have an intimate relationship of friendship and affection, to exchange that with Krishna. These three types of abhilas appear. So that is ruchi. So tattad bhavadi madhurya shrute diyad apekshate. And when that desire comes, once that which initiates your activities in devotional service is not a calculation of the intelligence, of logic, or the demand or rules of the scripture, but rather it's a natural and spontaneous greed which instigates all of our devotional activities. So when our intelligence is no longer dependent for guidance to instigate our activities upon scripture and upon logic reason, then tal lob utpati lakshanam, that is the symptom of greed. So we cannot say you will have to wait until Rati comes before you can hear the rasa-tattva. But before that, one may hear those who are serious, those who are dedicated, especially those who have steadiness. They must hear to awaken their greed, their ruchi, to enter into raga nuga bhakti. So, the concern, the caution about don't always be hearing the rasa-kata and lila-kata and everything is a very genuine concern. And this is why we go to great lengths to discuss Vedanta and tattva vichar and all of these things to make a strong foundation. But on the other hand, if someone will completely boycott whole discussion of Krishna and the gopis, this is also wrong. So, from the censorship of very conservative transcendentalists, then sometimes the Madhurya Rasa completely disappears from this world. But our Srila Prabhupada once, some devotees, they became very fanatical about, you should not talk about the gopis or anything. So once Srila Prabhupada, he wrote a letter. He said, don't boycott the gopis. Remember that letter? Don't boycott the gopis. So we should hear, but from qualified persons and with the great honor, with a properly adjusted perspective, understanding where we are and where they are. Where are we and where are the gopis? Even Uddhav, being a great, eternal, liberated associate of Krishna, he also asked this same question. Where are these gopis and where am I? They are on the top of the Mount Everest of Prem, and I am so far at the bottom I can't even see how high they are. So with this supreme reverence and respect for Braja Gopis, we can hear this Katha. We don't want the mood of awe and reverence to Krishna, but we can have a mood of reverence towards the greatness of the Gopis. And by revering them, their mercy will come to us, and then we'll have a relationship to Krishna following their path that will be completely free from awe and reverence. But to Braja Gopis, Vande Nanda Brajastrinam Padarenam Abhikshna Saha Yasam Harikatad Gitam Punati Bhuvanatrayam. I bow down to one dust on the lotus feet of the ladies of the village of Nanda Maharaj. When they speak the glories of Krishna, even when they're insulting Krishna, in the madness of their love, it purifies the three worlds. Bande Nanda Brajastrinam. So this mood we can have. So, Janmadhyasya from whom arises the Adiras, that is Krishna. And that ras is what? Anvayad itarataha. Anvayad means direct, and itara means the opposite. So what is direct Adiras, and what is the opposite of the direct Adirasa? Sambhog and Vipralamba. Sambhog means meeting. Because this Madhurya Ras, this love in the romantic mood is relished in two ways. The direct way, that is the meeting of Radha Krishna, and also the indirect way at the time of separation. So Srila Rupa Goswami was the only person being inspired by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was inspired to reveal the nature of Madhurya Rasa. If you see other sampradayas, they're very fixated on meeting all the time. That's called Nitya Milan, Nitya Nikunja. Radha Krishna always in the Nikunja. But actually in the highest realm of Golok Vrindavan, there the Astakalila, daily pastimes of Radha Krishna going on, where sometimes they're meeting, sometimes they're separated. And when they come into this world in the Prakat Lila, we see so much separation happens. Krishna goes far away to Mathura and then to Dwarka, and in the end he comes back. Because Bharat Muni has said, Nabi navi pralambena sambhoga pushtimashnate. Without separation, then the joy of meeting cannot reach its highest point. So, there are four types of separation. Actually, there are many types, but there are four prominent types. So they're called mukhya. The four chief types of separation, mukhya. So they are, first, purvarag. Purvaraga means when Radha and Krishna are young and they just for the first time look in each other's eyes. Paileha raga nayana vanga bela anudina baralan avadina gela. Love means what? 2 eyes, 4 upon 2 eyes. This is how it begins, with a glance. But it's not possible for them to meet because of the strict dharmic rules in Vedic culture, the separation of the males and females. Yet they have their spontaneous attachment for each other manifested and increased moment by moment, day by day by day. So first it begins with glance of the eyes, and then after that the chinta, thinking, remembering each other. And then gradually this thinking about each other becomes so intense that there comes the sankalpa. Sankalpa is acceptance, but here it means a vow that even though they should not meet, but they both feel within that we must meet under any cost. They make that vow inside. So that internal vow is a part of the gradual development of the separation of purva raga. Purva means prior or previous. The attachment between the lover and beloved, which is growing and growing moment by moment prior to their actually having a chance to meet together intimately. So then, after chinta, thinking about each other in great anxiety, and then making a promise, an internal promise, come so many symptoms like sleeplessness. They cannot sleep at night. Like the kinattva, loss of appetite, so they become very thin. Madhya Yashoda is worried, oh Krishna, you become so thin, you should eat more butter. But why did he become thin? Because he is thinking of Radhika. And, oh, malinata, one looks neglected. And vyadi, one even becomes as if afflicted with a disease. And madness, one becomes mad in the stage of purva raga. If someone talks to the gopis, they don't give an answer. And when no one's talking to them, they reply to someone who's not there. So type of madness comes. And finally, the last symptom is mriti, death. So it's not actually death. I said to Gurudeva once, how is it possible in the spiritual world that there can be death? Because bhakti is amrita. Mayi bhakti bhutanam amrita kalpate. Gurudeva said, yes, it is much worse than death. He was just in such a deep mood. So, as if one is about to die, the separation reaches that point. So, purva raga is being discussed. It's developed by Shukadeva Goswami in a most beautiful way in Srimad-Bhagavatam through the Leelas, Kaliyadaman Leela, Govardhan Leela, and especially through chapter 21 of the 10th canto, that is Venu Gita. So all the verses of Venu Gita are describing the purva raga of Braja Gopis. Sometimes in Srimad-Bhagavatam, in select places, the purva raga of Krishna is described. Like, for example, in Gopi Gita, Dina Parikshaye, Nila Kuntala, Banarahananam, Bibradavritam, Ganarajasvalam, what is Darshayan Muhur, Manasina Asmaram, Veera Yatstasi. This verse of Gopi Gita, Shukadeva Goswami decided, because he's very rasik, he felt that it would be most beautiful to describe the purva raga of Krishna through the eyes of Braja Gopis. So this verse of Gopi Gita describes Krishna's purva raga, but coming from the lips of Braja Gopis, so it's extra delicious. So that is the first type of separation, purva raga. The second type of separation is man. Man means Dampatya bhava ekatra saturapyanuраktaya sobishta slaisha vikshahadi and virodi mano uchate. The lover and beloved are together in the same place. And they want to look at each other, they want to embrace each other. but some emotional obstacle is coming inside and stopping them. So it is considered to be a crookedness, that prem, that sneha, affection becomes so intense, it takes on a crooked kutilya, it attains a kutilya bhav, a crooked nature where the affection is expressed as the opposite affection. And so Radhika becomes upset with Krishna, shows some type of hostility towards Krishna, and in this way Krishna is put into a state of separation, and Radhika is also put into a state of separation. So then the next type of separation is called the pravas. We can say yes. Prem-Vaichitra is a Prem-Vaichitra or pravas, whichever order. We can keep pravas last because that comes later in the pastime. So the next one is called Prem-Vaichitya. Prem-Vaichitya means it's a symptom of anurag actually. Anurag is that love in which the thirst to relish the sweetness of Krishna is so intense that one cannot experience Krishna and his qualities at the same time. Either you can see Krishna, but then when you look at Krishna you notice his lips, and then zooming in on the sweetness of his lips, the rest of Krishna disappears. Or he plays his flute and you hear the sound of the flute, and then your whole consciousness becomes absorbed in just the sound of his flute and Krishna disappears. So you may see Krishna, but then some aspect of his quality will attract the attention and you become so absorbed in that everything else disappears, and then you think, where did Krishna go? And start to feel separation. That is Prem-Vaichitya. And then the fourth one is called pravas. Pravas means residing in a faraway place, or being away at some distance. So there's kinchit dura pravas, when Krishna is just some distance away. For example, during the day when he goes to the forest to take the cows to graze, gopis are in their homes. It's a kinchit dura pravas, is at some distance. But then there is sudirga pravas, staying very far away for a long time. Like Krishna's leaving Vrindavan and going to Mathura and then going to Dwarka. So in this way, four types of separation. And these four types of separation, they result in four types of meeting. So if there weren't varieties of separation, there would not be varieties of meeting. So the four types of mukhya, the four prominent types, because actually many types, these are just the mukhya sambhog. First of all, Sankship Sangbhog. Sangshipt, that means brief. You know, if someone writes an abridged version of a book, they take a big book and they reduce it and make it brief. That's called the Sangshipt. Samshipt Harinama Amrita Bhyakaranamu. Sangshipt Vaishnav Toshaniyo. Whatever. So, this meeting is brief. So the brief meeting takes place after Purvarag. So how sweet it is. Why is the meeting brief? Because it's the first meeting which is taking place after a long time of separation, but never having the opportunity to really meet. So then the beloved, she's overwhelmed with shyness, naivety, inexperience. So all of these things cause the meeting to be not fully expanded. So Srila Rupa Goswami gives an example. One day Brinda Devi said, when Radha and Krishna first met, then Krishna sat down next to Radhika and he tried to break the ice by telling some jokes. So when Krishna spoke in joking words, Radharani just sat there and she didn't laugh. So it was a little bit stiff. The meeting was a little awkward. So then Krishna put his arm around Radharani and she shrank away from him. So then Krishna, he tried to kiss Radhika, but she turned her face and he kissed her on the cheek. because she turned her face away from him. And then, after this meeting, then Krishna went away and he thought, yes, it was a great success. So compared to the later Leelas, it was quite sankshipt. It was very brief and not particularly developed Leelas of Madhurya Ras going on. But this is how it takes, after Purvarag, then there is a Sankship Sambhog. Then there is the Sankirn Sambhog. That means a meeting which is somewhat restricted, because it takes place after the separation called Man. So, if the lover and beloved are meeting, but the heroine, like such as Srimati Radhika, she's upset with Krishna, she's in Man, because she knows that Krishna had previously went to meet with Chandravali. She heard from someone, or she saw some evidence of that. So when she meets with Krishna, then on the one hand, she wants to meet with him, but she's feeling some contrariness, some reluctance due to remembering his previous unfaithful behavior. So, it is said that this meeting, the Sankirn Sanbhog, is like Tapta Ikshu. Tapta Ikshu means hot sugarcane juice. If someone gives you very boiling hot sugarcane juice, then you want to taste it. So you taste it, and it's so hot it's burning you. But it's so sweet, you cannot spit it out. You cannot give it up. So in the same way, when Radha and Krishna meet, after Radhika is in Man with Krishna, so the meeting is there and it's sweet, but there's also a certain burning inside. So the burning is there of the jealousy towards Chandravali or whatever, but Krishna is so sweet that she cannot give him up. So at that time, Radhika will say to Krishna, oh, Karalika Naptri Krida Koranga. There are so many nectarian names for Sri Krishna. And this one is very relishable. Karalika Naptri Krida Koranga. Karala is Chandravali's grandmother. So if you want to speak very sweetly to her grandmother, then you not call her Karala, you call her Karalika. Karalika. And Naptri means granddaughter. So Karalika Naptri is a very sweet and endearing, tender name for Chandravali. Karalika Naptri. And Krida Koranga means if there's a princess and she walks in the garden of the palace, then sometimes she takes some pets with her. So she may have a deer, and the deer will have a chain around his neck and she'll hold, just like someone walks a dog. So a princess will go for a walk with her pet deer. So a pet deer is called Krida Koranga. So, so when Krishna meets with Radhika, and then Radhika very sweetly tells him, oh, Karalika Naptri Krida Koranga. Oh, you pet deer on the golden chain of the daughter of Karalika. That is the name for the Chandravali. And also this has a double meaning, because Kuranga means deer, and it also, Ranga means pastimes, and Ku means bad, contemptible, that which is to be rejected. So you are not only Kuranga, you are also, you do Kuranga. So when Radharani speaks such a sweet name to Sri Krishna, then Krishna becomes struck with fear. He's terrified, because he feels as if that now Radhika is rejecting him. But because of this is the Sankirna Sambhog, he's too sweet to reject. So as she abuses him, she catches him and pulls him towards her at the same time. So Krishna goes from the depths of despair from hearing that abuse to the height of joy and ecstasy that Radhika accepted him. So that is the Sankirna Sambhog. So if there were not man beforehand, that type of relishment for Krishna, Krishna said, Priya yadiman kare kare vatsan, Veda stuti hoiti hari se moraman. When my beloveds criticize and abuse me with harsh language, then it steals my mind away from the prayers of the Vedas. All the devatas, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and others are offering prayers to Krishna. But when he's criticized with names like Karalika, Naptri, Krido, Karanga, he forgets all the Vedic prayers. His mind is completely stolen away. It's so sweet and beautiful. So that comes after man. Then there is Sampanna Sambhog. Sampanna means successful. Sampanna, accomplished meeting. Sampanna. So that takes place after Kinchit Dur Pravas. Kinchit Dur Pravas. After Krishna is away, for example, when he goes out during the forest, when he comes back in the evening time, or during Rasa-lila, when he disappears from Rasa-lila and then again appears, then he becomes Sampanna Sambhog. And then the last one, that is called Samriddhiman Sambhog. So Samriddhiman means flourishing, fully flourished to the height of prosperity. Samriddhiman. So the Samriddhiman Sambhog, it can take place. There are different opinions. Srila Jiva Goswami tells it takes place after Sudirga Pravas. Sudur Pravas, staying very far away for a long time, finally when Radha and Krishna meet. Like when they meet at Kurukshetra. Or when Krishna returns from Dwarka, finally to Vrindavan, riding on a chariot. And he's come home. Then, this is a Samriddhiman Sambhog. Jiva Goswami tells. But, Srila Vishnu Thakur said no. Because there are some conditions. For Samriddhiman Sambhog to take place, the hero and the heroine must be paratantra. That means under the control of others. And then, somehow or other, by chance, they meet, surprisingly, when neither had the intention of meeting because they couldn't, because they were controlled by others. And then it's suddenly, what are you doing here? How astonishing to meet you here. And then, so that meeting has a very special flavor. So, the example is when Radharani, in the form of Satyabhama, was in Dwarka. And she had been given by her father to be married to Dwarkadish. But she begged Rukmini, I don't want to go near Dwarkadish, I don't want to see him. Why? Because when Radharani left Vrindavan, at that time, Krishna was in Mathura. Then she went to the sun planets and Krishna moved to Dwarka while she was staying at the sun. She was taken by Jamuna, the river Jamuna, to the sun planet. So, Krishna moved to Dwarka, but Radharani was thinking Krishna is Mathuresh. He's the prince of Mathura. Who's this prince of Dwarka? I don't know. I only want to be with Krishna. I don't want to be with this prince of Dwarka. So she begged Rukmini, hide me from him. So Rukmini, she was thinking, what happened? My dreams came true. Because when I saw this beautiful princess, I was thinking, she's so gorgeous that when Krishna sees her, then he'll forget about me. And now she herself is saying, please keep me away from Dwarkadish. So Rukmini was thinking, oh, my dreams came true. How is it possible? Yes, of course I'll help you. And she was hiding Radhika. So Radhika was under the control of Rukmini. And at the same time, Krishna was staying in Dwarka, and he thought that Radhika had given up her life in Jamuna. She's somewhere in the universe. When will I ever see her again? So both of them were together somewhere in Dwarka, but not knowing that the other one was present. And one day, Radhika was walking through a garden made by Vishwakarma called Nava Vrindavan, and Krishna was wandering there also, and by chance, they met face to face. Actually, it's very interesting that the Sambhog Rasa can be relished even when they're not meeting. Why? We have to make a distinction between yoga and samyog and viyog. Samyog means meeting, and viyog means separation. But here, what are we talking about? We're talking about adi rasa, the original rasa. So rasa is relished in two ways, sambhog rasa and vipralamba rasa. So actual meeting and actually being separated is one thing, and the rasa of meeting and the rasa of separation is another. So, for example, the rasa of separation can take place while meeting, and similarly, the rasa of meeting can take place in separation. So Srila Rupa Goswami has given for the example of Samriddhiman Sambhog, that when Radhika was wandering in the garden, Nava Vrindavan in Dwarka, Vishwakarma had made some deities there of the Brijbasis, and he made a deity of Krishna. So as Radhika was walking, she looked and saw the deity of Krishna. And she was so overwhelmed in ecstasy seeing that deity that she experienced Samriddhiman Sambhog, seeing the deity. Even. So Krishna wasn't there. So though Samriddhiman Sambhog takes place, she's paratantra, she's under the control of others, and by surprise she met with Krishna. But it wasn't even Krishna, it was a deity. But because of her love, if she can see a Tamil tree and think it's Krishna, embrace the Tamil tree, then what to speak of a deity of Krishna made by Vishwakarma. So Srila Rupa Goswami gives that example to show some of the specialities of it. But the example he gives for Krishna is when Radha and Krishna actually meet by chance. And then Krishna says, "Oh, how wonderful. I was like a poor starving person rummaging on the ground trying to find some chickpeas when suddenly it began to rain gold coins from the sky." So there Krishna is expressing how he was looking for one thing, but he found another. And his joy of receiving that which was far beyond his expectations, that for Krishna is his relishment of Samriddhiman Sambhog. Like that. So in this way, here, in the first verse of Srimad-Bhagavatam, Janmadyasya yatanvayaditarataha, I meditate upon that Krishna who is the embodiment of Madhurya Rasa, the romantic mood which is relished directly, the rasa of meeting, and indirectly, the rasa of separation. Abhigya, that Krishna, the object of Madhurya Rasa is Abhigya, that means he knows 64 arts. And all those 64 arts he uses in the romantic pastimes, such as knowing how to make garlands and crowns of flowers and all the Kam Tantra. Krishna is expert in all of these things, so he is Abhigya. And he is Swarat, independent. So here, independent means that he is not like a material hero. Because a material hero, perhaps you know, probably the most famous love story of India, the Romeo and Juliet story of India is Nala-Damayanti. You do know? You know this history? It's very beautiful. If you will hear it, everyone will cry. It's very pathetic. The unbreakable love of Nala and Damayanti and all the obstacles they have to go through and all the tests they go through. And if you hear it, you will cry. But you will not cry because it's a prakrita rasa. You will cry because it's a prakrita rasa. It's a material rasa. So, material heroes like Anal, the hero of Damayanti, he's not Swarat, he's not independent. Why? He's dependent on Kal, on time, on karma, because his life is essentially his prarabdha karma. He's not free from karma. And so, he's affected by the material energy, and therefore he is not independent. And therefore his pastimes, they have a beginning and they have an end. And when it's over, it's over. But Krishna's relishment of Madhurya Ras is a Nitya Lila going on forever and ever. So he's Abhigya Swarat. Tane Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Suraya. The truth of this Adi Rasa, this is Rasa Brahma. This Brahma, the truth of Adi Rasa, was imparted to the heart of Bharat Muni. So Bharat Muni was the first sage who wrote about rasa, and he was the first person to give a definition. Vibhav, Anubhav, Vyabhichari, Samyogat, Rasa Nishpatihi. This is the first Rasa Sutra. That by the combination of the ingredients, Vibhav, that which stimulates your love, and Anubhav, the reactions to that stimulation, and the Vyabhichari, that means transitory assisting emotions which are like waves in the ocean of the foundational sentiment. These combine together and Rasa Nishpati, Rasa appears. So Bharat Muni was the first sage to write about Rasa. But Muyanti Yat Suraya, the other stages, they were bewildered. Why? Because of the Rasa of Nal and Damayanti. Because of the material rasa, the other sages rejected Madhur rasa. You can see there are so many scholars, like Abhinavagupta. He also wrote about rasa. But for him, the lowest rasa was Madhurya rasa and the highest rasa was Shanta rasa. Because he's thinking the highest thing in this world is to attain Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, liberation. Liberation is the highest thing. So in order to become liberated, you have to become Shanta, completely peaceful, completely detached. And what is Madhur Ras? The complete opposite of Shanta Ras. It's a total attachment. It's an infatuation, an uncontrollable attachment. That is Madhurya Rasa. So, but because he only thought of Madhurya Rasa in terms of persons like Nal and Damayanti, the worldly heroes, so he put Madhurya Rasa on the bottom of the list and Shanta Rasa on the top. Therefore, Muyanti Yat Suraya, various sages were bewildered about this Adi Rasa. Tejo vari mridam yata vinimayo yatra tisago mrisha. Therefore, those sages who were bewildered about the Adi Rasa thought that Adi Rasa was related to mundane heroes who are Tejo vari mridam yata vinimayo. The mundane hero is, his body is a combination of material elements, and therefore his ultimate destination is to become ash if he's cremated, or if he's not cremated, then he'll become worm stool. So what rasa is there is in ash and worm stool? Not so much. So, Muyanti Yat Suraya, the sages who were bewildered about the nature of rasa, considering the Madhuras to be contemptible, because they thought that the heroes of Madhuras are material beings who will just end up being ash and worm stool. But Bharat Muni, he explained about rasa how Trisagam Risha. Here Trisarga means that this rasa is expressed in poetry. And this poetry has Trisarga, three aspects. So, first of all, the first way we can take Trisarga is, as we explained this morning, there are three methods of expression. Abhidabriti, the dictionary, direct way of speaking, Lakshana-briti, associative meanings, and Vyanjam-briti, implied meanings. So that's the first type of Trisarga. Then the next type of Trisarga that Bharat Muni wrote about in his Natya Shastra are three types of aspects of literature. They're called Dhwani, Guna, and Alankar. So Dhwani means that you write something, but that what you have said suggests something else. And so the mellow is not in the words but in what it suggests. So that is called dhvani. And then gun. Gun means Bharat Muni has written about 10 different types of excellence that can be there in a composition, in poetic composition. And then the third quality in the Trisarga is alankar. Alankar means poetic embellishments or figures of speech, methods of literary expression. And there are hundreds of different types of alankars. And you can find they're described in texts like Sahitya Darpan and what is the other famous? Before Sahitya Darpan, Kavya Prakash. So our Goswamis actually have done a wonderful thing. There's a book attributed to Srila Jiva Goswami called Bhakti Rasamrita Shesh. And what he does there is he takes all the different alankars or literary ornaments from Sahitya Darpan, but gives devotional examples based on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, illustrated from Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's a very beautiful book. And then later, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan did the same thing with Kavya Prakash. He took all the literary ornaments described in Kavya Prakash and gave devotional examples of them in his book called Sahitya Kaumadi. Sahitya Kaumadi by Baladev Vidyabhushan. So I'm thinking at Kartik time, when we go through the poetry of Rupa Goswami, we'll be for 1 month just becoming absorbed in studying Rupa Goswami and looking at all these various alankars and so on from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, examples from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of all the various alankars which have been given in Sahitya Darpana and Kavya Prakash. So, everyone, please come for Kartik Parikrama this year. There'll be a bit less walking and a bit more Shravanam and Kirtanam this year. So, here, Trisagam Amrisha. Amrisha means not false. In other words, when these three types of meaning, when Dhvani, Guna and Alankar are used to express the pastimes of Krishna, they're used by Krishna himself, they're used by the gopis themselves, how they speak so sweetly to each other in poetry. So when all of these literary embellishments which were revealed to Bharat Muni in his Natya Shastra are employed in relation to Krishna and in relation to Bhakti, they are not Mrisha false, they are Amrisha, they are real. In other words, they become the cause of amazement. And that is the very nature of rasa. Rasai ras chamatkaro yambina na raso rasaha. Sri Kavi Karnapur has written in his Alankar Kostuba the definition of rasa, and there he said that the nature of rasa is that it is chamatkar, amazing, astonishing. It causes one to be struck with wonder. Astarya chakita. It is adbhut. So wonderful. And that's the difference between Prakrit Ras and Transcendental Rasa. Because if you see a play or a movie or you read a book which is about mundane heroes and heroines, the first time you see it you're surprised. The second time it's not such a surprise, it's just vaguely interesting, and the third time it's boring. But the Aprakrita Ras, the first time you hear Gopi Geet, it's amazing. And the second time you hear Gopi Geet, it's more amazing. And the next time you hear Gopi Geet, it's even more amazing. And it goes on like this forever. And therefore, here it is said, Trisagam Risha. When these three types of literary techniques are applied to Krishna and to Bhakti, they are not false, they are Amrisha, they are a real cause of amazement. Then, Dhamna swaina sada nirastukokam satyam param dhimahi. Here the meaning is that Dhamna swaina, by the direct realization of this rasa, then when Krishna gives the direct realization of this rasa, then all the dried up mimamsakas, all the philosophers, the metaphysicians, they're all completely defeated. So let us meditate, Satyam Param Dhimahi, on Sri Krishna, Raso Vaisaha, who is the embodiment of the highest rasa. So you can see that Srila Vyasadeva himself, even though he gave the Mahabharata, he gave Bhagavad Gita, he gave Vedanta Sutra, he gave the Puranas even, but at the end of it all, he still felt Nyunam. Something was lacking in him. He felt insufficient. Why? Because he had not described the highest rasa. And then, by the inspiration of Narada Muni, when he manifested this Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is Bhakti Rasa Swarup, the embodiment of all rasa, then Vyasadeva became completely satisfied. So therefore, Dhamna Svena, when there is the illumination of Sri Krishna in his Rasa Swarup in the heart of the devotee, then Nirasta Kokam, all types of philosophical speculation and the Mimamsakas, various interpreters of Vedic knowledge, they're all defeated. Satyam Param Dhimahi. So, now, that was now the third explanation, which is rasa. Now the fourth explanation comes. We can take Satyam Param Dhimahi. You should know that Krishna is Rasik Shekhar. But without Radharani, then he's just like Nirvishesh Brahman. No rasa at all. Krishna is completely dependent on the love of Radharani for his happiness. Without Radhika, he cannot experience even one atom of happiness or peacefulness. And therefore, we cannot, in all honesty, just say that Krishna is the origin of Adi Rasa, because Rasa has a Vishay and an Ashray. It cannot just have a Vishay. So without the Ashray, the shelter of love, Radhika, then Krishna cannot really be Rasik Shekhar. Even if all the other gopis are there, but Radhika is not there, Krishna cannot be Rasik Shekhar, the connoisseur of all rasa. And therefore we'll have to take Satyam Param Dhimahi to mean I meditate upon the highest truth of Madhurya Rasa in the form of Radha Krishna Yugal. Radha Krishna Aichi Sada Eki Swarup. Radha Krishna are one, but they are one supreme truth, Satyam Param Dhimahi, but they have two bodies in order to relish rasa. So how this verse is describing exclusively the love between Radha and Krishna, we will explain tomorrow. Gaur Premanande. So are there any questions? If you have a question, raise your hand and then we'll take them in particular order. Yes, Brinda Melasini.
I want to ask that if one hears rasa katha, but the person feels that maybe I'm not able to digest or accommodate this properly, should he then stop hearing this?
If you're walking down the road and someone's talking about Nikunja Leela of Radha and Krishna, and you sit down and it's disturbing, then leave. But if your Gurudeva is speaking, then you should just sit like this with folded hands and mouth open. And in your mind you say, oh my God, I never heard anything so beautiful in my life. I'm not qualified to hear it, but somehow or other this good fortune has come to me. Like that.
You spoke about these abhilashas.
Also, one thing is, we hear so many different things. So, from the beginning of this festival, we are telling all the adhyatma-dhipa. And for hours and hours and hours, adhyatma-dhipa. So now you're hearing some rasa-katha. So, but then when you go away and you do your own chanting and study and remembering, then you should study and remember, take from what you have heard the things which are relevant to the stage that you are in. Like that, and focus on that. Not that if you have sadhu sangha, and that sadhu speaking 85% tattva siddhanta and 15% rasa-tattva, and you are neophyte covered with anartha, and then you go away and you focus only on that 15%. Not like that. You should take what is relevant to your adhikar and focus on that. But the time of hearing from our authorities, we should be grateful for whatever mercifully we have the opportunity to hear. And if it's something which is somewhat beyond our adhikar, we should know that it's like a mantra. You know, when Gurudev gives Kam Gayatri, actually we have no clue what is this Kam Gayatri. And we are not qualified even to understand it. But anyway, Gurudev has told, remember every day Kam Gayatri. After some time, then we can realize. So it's like an inheritance. Sometimes as a child, and the father has a large amount of money and writes in his will, when I pass away, then my son will inherit this. But if I pass away before he is 25, then he can't get it. So if the father passes away and the son is 10, then it's there, it's in store. And when he's older, it's his, but he cannot have it now. And then when he reaches a certain age, then the executive of the will make sure that that wealth comes to the child. So in the same way, there are many things I experienced in my life. Many years, Gurudev said something. I had no clue what it was, but I just noted it down in my heart. Then many years later, you are chanting and suddenly, oh, so that's what it means. Even my Gurudev told me that there were things he heard from his Gurudev and even argued with his Gurudev with respect. He gave opposites some purva pakshas in order to understand it. He said, when Gurudev said, when my Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshmaraj was in this world, he said some particular things about rasa-tattva, which I just didn't understand. But now, in my old age, I'm doing bhajan and I completely understand what he was saying. Like that. So there are some things we may understand today, and other things, they have been given to us like seeds in the heart, and later we can come to understand them. Yes, Braj Mohan Prabhu.
I want to pass a comment and also a question I have, if I have your permission.
Yes, of course. This is Ishta Goshti.
From the listener's point of view, I want to say that we are very fortunate that you are speaking this katha, and to whatever one's qualification is, he's getting that greed. Because we've gone in so many sanghas and heard from so many speakers, and most of them are very conservative. They will not speak on this topic at all. And even if they speak on it, they don't explain it in such a sweet and such a wonderful way. And the acharyas say that even you have to sell your mother to get this greed. You can sell your mother in the market, put her up on sale. To get this greed, it is so valuable, Who has the adhikar? So it can only be got by the association of a Raghunuga Bhakta. When he speaks and we hear, then this greed can somehow come in us. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says this is the only way one can get this. So we are very fortunate and very blessed that a disciple of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj has understood the essence of his heart, and he is also making us work hard, and then at the same time he is giving us this Madhur Katha. So we are very grateful to you. Very, very grateful. My question was...
I am grateful that I have an audience who is willing to climb for 2 hours up a mountain and live in the wilderness.
In the village of Rasa.
And then spend days listening to Vedanta Sutra, which many I know cannot even understand anything. So after all that, they deserve to hear some sweet things. Because they have expressed their determination and their sincerity, their desire to know about Krishna Bhakti. So I am fortunate to, if there were no audience, then I would not be able to speak. Yes, Sanjeev, what's your question, Prabhu?
When you spoke about Abhilash, you spoke about Ishta Abhilash, Anukal, Saurit Abhilash, you spoke on the stage of Ruchi. Doesn't this melting of the heart happen in the stage of heart?
Yes, yes. But what is it that melts the heart? 3 types of ruchi. That's what it says. Ruchi bist chittamasrinya. In other words, in the stage of ruchi, the abhilas appears, but it hasn't melted the heart yet. And as ruchi intensifies and the asakti intensifies, then those 3 types of ruchi become so intense that they melt the heart. So it's not that that the 3 types of ruchi appear in bhav, but ruchi bihi. This is in the instrumental case. Bahuvachanam, tritiya vibhakti. Instrumental case in the plural. And so it means the melting of the heart is caused by these 3 types of taste. So it's not that these 3 types of taste appear and then it's called bhav, but rather when these 3 types of taste have become so intense that they cause the heart to melt, that's called bhav.
You have said in some instances that you just hear a word or you see an instance and then your mind gets stuck out there. So is there any endeavor or it just happens?
In sadhana, there are 2 things. Sadhana means endeavor, right? Because it's kriti sadhya, bhavat sadhya, bhavasa sadhana. You endeavor from the senses. So that's true, there's some endeavor. But when it happens, your endeavor doesn't cause it. Because the bhav is nitya, it's eternal, nitya siddhasya bhavasya, it's eternal. And it overflows from the eternal parikas and comes to you. So it's not, you have to endeavor, but it's not created by your endeavor, it's self-manifest. It's an eternal reality which is self-manifest. So you cannot strain. If my chitta can just melt a little bit more. It's not like that. All you can do is shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam. You can do that. That's your sadhana. And then the appearance of the bhav, that is beyond our control. That's a grace. Appearance of grace.
Usually if you're not offensive, is this stage big? This melting? It's melting. Does it take time?
Well, yes, there's a partial melting, more melting and more melting. Because actually, the only difference actually between bhav and prem is that the bhav is this, the chitta is melted, but not completely. And prem samyak matsritina santo mamatati shayankita. When there's a complete melting, then it's called prem. So there are degrees. Yeah.